make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big...
Hello, world.
And we are L-O... No, I'm not even going to spell it. We are locked in. Dave the Wave to my left. He could be to your right. Who knows? I'm Max Van Auken. Dave, that song makes me want to get in the ring. It makes me want to get in the octagon, but not with our guest.
I was going to say that I want to get in the octagon as well, but definitely not with our main man, Jon Fitch. He will be getting locked in minutes.
It's incredible.
Yes.
We always appreciate his time. He's such a busy guy. He has so much coming up on and out of the octagon, in and out of the octagon. And it's always great talking to him. There's so much going around in this MMA world. It's incredible. But guys, this podcast is available on any podcast platform, Locked In with 2 N's. Make sure you download and subscribe. And we're going to throw something new at you, too.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. If you go on Facebook and go on FloridaMMAaward.com, if you go under the podcast section, that's us, right? The podcast.
Yeah.
MMA podcast. We're talking to Jon Fitch, talking about the welterweight game in the biz. Vote for Locked In. We just got it nominated. The award show is coming up in a month and a half. Make sure you vote for Locked In.
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, let's move on to the MMA world. We can't get nominated about the MMA best podcast and not talk about MMA. So here we go. Dave, we've talked to Coach Javier from AKA. We've spoken to Jon Fitch from AKA, Duran Wynn from AKA, and Cain Velasquez is obviously from AKA. They're one of the best camps, if not the best camp, in the MMA world right now.
Especially the heavyweights. Goodness, you got the champ there, and you got Cain.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Khabib. So it's ridiculous. But what's really interesting, because I think Cain Velasquez can make the legitimate argument, we brought this up to Coach Javier, to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. But what it is kind of a bummer is that he's suffered a lot of injuries, and it's prohibited him to extend his career.
100%.
But
the best part of availability is ability?
Yeah.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah. So he has all this talent. He has such a great resume, a rich resume, but we want to see him compete more, and there's good news. Coach Javier said it, and
yes.
Now we see it from Cain.
Yes.
He wants to return, and he is returning, and the rumored fight is one that is just fireworks written all over it. Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. If it's not the championship match, because DC is the champion, and we know, hey, Coach Javier did say they want Brock in March. That's what's going on. Francis versus Cain, it doesn't get any bigger. Doesn't get any badder. Doesn't get any better. That fight is locked in.
Yeah, and it's the perfect stylistic matchup for both fighters because Francis has a whole bunch of heavy hands, and he typically does pretty good against wrestlers, of course. Stipe did really good against him, but it's almost like he knows that there's a blueprint to fighting these wrestlers now. He knows they want to take him down. So it's striker versus wrestler. Now, Cain coming back, you're fighting someone who's scary, who can knock you out with one punch in Francis Ngannou, but he has the wrestling advantage. It's, again, the wrestler versus the striker.
Yes, and one thing I love about this fight, a couple of Francis, 2 out of his last 3 fights have been a little slower, a little easy, a little, let's just call it out, boring.
Okay.
Cain will not let that happen.
Oh, yeah, he goes at you.
Exactly. So this is why I love this fight so much. It's a perfect match make. If you want to make great matches, you get our main D Tool, best matchmaker in the business. And he would have matched these guys together because I think Cain is going to get the best out of Francis. And I'm not saying who's going to win. I'm not even going to predict this fight just yet. But Cain will attack Francis, or Francis is going to throw the big bows, or Cain's just going to maul him to death. I cannot wait. That fight is bananas.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, guys, fightbananas.com. I'm glad you brought it up.
Thank you,
Check
sir.
it out. Click the link. Look it up. Whatever you want to do. Facebook, Instagram, fightbananas.com. The best MMA content. The podcasts are uploaded there. There's articles. There's pictures. You name it. Fightbananas.com.
That's why we might win awards.
There you go.
You know? But I do want to talk about the welterweights, and we're about to talk to Jon Fitch. Probably, guys, in one more minute, so we'll get to him real quick. He's on hold. We're about to go live with him. Can't wait. Welterweight division, UFC, Bellator. Bellator's got the Grand Prix. The UFC's up in arms. Is it Usman? Is it Colby Covington? Tyron Woodley? It's crazy right now, Max. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go at it because Tyron Woodley clearly is the champion, and he had an
Clearly.
incredible performance
Yes.
defending the belt against your guy Darren Till.
Yeah.
But of course, injuries and whatnot. But then it does get interesting because Ben Askren is in the welterweight division, but they're teammates, so they don't want to necessarily fight each other. But then you have Colby Covington, who was the interim champion and got stripped, and then, like you said, Usman is becoming more and more impressive each and every fight.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Hasn't lost in the welterweight division. And if Woodley doesn't want to go, let's just do Usman versus Covington, who's the interim champ. Get that fight. You got Askren versus Robbie Lawler. The winner of that fight's the winner of this. Let's get this going. Let's have fights. We're here to fight. We're here to make money.
What I would do, and in my opinion, as an MMA fan, I think it would be right to see Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. You have the true champion versus the interim champion. So let that just... It kills two birds with one stone in a way. It gets rid of a belt, so there's a clear champion. And then Usman fights the number one contender slot, or if he fights the winner of Ben Askren and Robbie, and then from there you go on. But at least clear the interim and regular champion waters out.
No, 100% agree, but the question at hand is, what happens if Woodley can't fight to August?
Yeah.
Do you murky up the waters of the welterweight division till August?
Yeah, do you strip him and then have another interim belt?
If Colby Covington's the interim champion, how about he fights Usman in March? And then the winner of that fights Woodley in August.
You'd get more fights, but it may, like you said, make the situation a little more confusing.
Sure. No, you might be right, but hey, let's see what Jon Fitch thinks about it. You ready, Cuzzo?
Yeah, we want to definitely talk to him. I know I want to talk to him about Ben Askren. This trade has just revolutionized MMA. Will we see more of this trading going on with the Demetrious Johnson, Ben Askren trade? I just wanted to see his thoughts on Daniel Cormier. I know it's his teammate, but you can make the argument he's the greatest of all time. We spoke to Coach Javier. Does he fight Brock next? Should he fight John Jones? I don't know. Let's see. I want to hear what John has to say.
All right, John, let's get locked in, buddy.
Former UFC fighter, current Bellator fighter, Jon Fitch via Locked In Satellite Radio. How you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
We're always doing good, always doing better when we're speaking to you. There's so much to talk about, but let's just dive right into it. So the fight with Rory seems to be targeted for March. How do you feel about that fight coming up?
I've been feeling great about it for a while, just waiting for it to happen. I think the scheduling in March is good. I'm all for it happening as soon as possible. Interested in getting in the training camp, so it'll be nice to get through the holidays and then start working for March.
Nice. Has any current events with him fighting recently, anything changed your mind on the fight, or is it pretty much the same mentality since the last time we spoke with you?
No, yeah, everything's the same. Feeling good about it. It's a good matchup. I think they're talking about it being in San Diego, which is good. It'd be good to be in SoCal for the fight. So yeah, everything's looking good. It's looking like Neiman Gracie would be the next round after Rory. So everything's lining up nicely.
Very cool, John. I love that you're already thinking of the next round. I love that. Tell me the great momentum that the gym has over there in AKA. We talked to Deron Wynn a couple weeks ago. He had a great win. DC, the champ. You predicted on this show, I remember 3 months ago, that you said Khabib was going to run through Conor, and he did. That gym is just on fire, John. Nothing but championships and wins. Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it's great. We've put in a lot of hard work over the years. We've built up AKA together as a team. And we keep cranking out big wins, and guys keep doing well, and it's not looking like it's going to let up anytime soon.
Yeah, and you nailed it. Like you said, Khabib dismantled Conor McGregor. Obviously, we hope everything works out with him in court and that whole issue afterwards. Just you as a fan, you as a competitor, would you like to see the rematch between the two?
I think I've seen it all. I don't think Conor had anything to offer. There's plenty of other guys waiting in line, so I think there's other fights for him other than the Conor fight. I think Conor needs to win a few before he comes back around Khabib.
Right. No, yeah, and the way he beat Conor was just like you just said, so one-sided.
Smashed him. All anybody was talking about was the stuff that happened after the fight. Nobody talked about the actual fight because it wasn't much of a fight.
Right. Now, Big MMA, first time in MMA history, we see a trade, Ben Askren to the UFC, Demetrious Johnson to ONE FC. Is this something that intrigues you as a fighter? Do you think you'll see more of this as far as you or Bellator or other organizations?
Well, I mean, you got to ask yourself if boxers like being traded in between promoters. There's not really any leverage or agency, being just demonstrated with the fighters. It's kind of just the promoters exhibiting more of their control, telling guys where to go and what to do. In this situation, it's worked out for the athletes who are getting traded, but it could just as easily be something that is not wanted by one of the athletes who's getting traded. So I'm not a major fan of it. It's not really a fix to what's broken in the MMA system.
Hey, John, this is Dave again. I love the welterweight Grand Prix for Bellator. Yeah, it is. It really is. And, to me, the UFC is a little bit of a mess at welterweight. I think
so, yeah. I think they're a mess in a lot of places because they treat it, they treat it like a television show and not like a sport. And, the lack of merit is keeping people from following the stars because they don't know who's really on top. And I think Bellator is doing a great job of keeping things merit-based, and it's helping the fans understand who they need to be watching.
Kind of on that note, let's just stick in the UFC. Let's stick in AKA Daniel Cormier, the champ. There's rumors that he may fight Brock Lesnar. Obviously, Jon Jones is back into the UFC. As someone that's been teammates with Daniel Cormier, obviously a fighter, and also as a fan, what fight do you think, we spoke to Coach Javier, what fight do you think would be the best for Daniel Cormier that would mean more for his legacy, a Brock Lesnar or like a Jon Jones?
Well, I think he's beat everybody he needs to. I don't think it really does anything for his legacy to fight Jon Jones again. I think he should just, take the money and run, fight the Brock and retire. But it all is up to him. He may want to get that win back from Jon Jones. So it's possible he wants to get that match again. But I don't know. I think he's probably just thinking forward, thinking about what's best for his family, and that would probably be a Brock fight and retirement. Maybe some pro wrestling.
Oh, you got me on pro wrestling there, John. I'm into it.
All right, one of my last things here, John. You have so much going on outside of the octagon as well, so please take this minute, promote yourself, promote the things that you have going on, your blogs, your shirts. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it's mostly check out my website, jonfitch.net. It's got links to most of my stuff. My Facebook, my blogs, my YouTube. I also have put up this week a book, Failing Upward, Death by Ego. It should be available on Kindle now and should be up soon for paperback.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that, buddy.
Thanks, man. It took a while to get up, and it's a lot more work than I expected, but got it done.
That's awesome. You really are killing it outside the octagon, obviously, as well. And we always appreciate you giving us your time. You're always so thoughtful for us and allowing us, like I said, to take the time of your busy schedule. So thank you, as always, and you're always welcome to get locked in.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great being on. Good talking to you.
Yes, sir. Have a great one.
All right, take it easy.
And what an amazing interview. As always, Jon Fitch, the legend himself.
I said it. I'm telling you, he's going to be the first Hall of Famer in the UFC and then Hall of Fame in Bellator.
That could happen.
It could happen, right, guys? Jon Fitch, once-in-a-lifetime athlete, maybe one of the greatest welterweights of all time because his longevity is amazing. His longevity is amazing.
Yeah, what's impressive about him, like I said, Dave, we always like speaking with people and talking to people who make us learn something, bring something to the table that we haven't thought about before. So always speaking to Jon Fitch, he always provides a unique perspective, a unique opinion, and obviously an inside look into all these situations because he is right in there. He is in there with DC. He is in there with Khabib. So to get his opinion on the Khabib-Conor fight was just terrific. Man, always a privilege to talk to him. So make sure you guys check him out. He has so many things going on with his t-shirts and now his book, Jon Fitch, Class Act. Dave, what an episode. Remember, guys, fightbananas.com. Also, this podcast is available on any podcast platform. That could be Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it, locked in with 2 N's. Download and subscribe.
Because I couldn't have said it any better.
Well, thank you. So what do we have going on? We're getting locked in here?
Yeah, I'm ready to get locked in.
The floor is yours.
Okay. We mentioned his name during the interview with Jon Fitch. We talked about the trade of Ben Askren. Ben Askren and the Robbie Lawler fight got moved. So it's at UFC 235 now. Got 232 got canceled. Crazy. That fight, I met Robbie Lawler a year and a half ago. Got a great picture with him. I love Robbie Lawler. And I think the hype behind Ben Askren is at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. But my locked-in is this. Ben Askren wins that fight. I'm just going all in with it. He's going to out-wrestle him. I think he's more motivated than ever to kind of stick it almost to Dana White in the UFC and just say, hey, if he beats Robbie Lawler, you can't keep him out of big mega fights or big championship fights, especially if they strip Woodley of the title. How big would it be if another Rufus Sport, Ben Askren, gets that title back? So I think Ben Askren gets the win, beats Robbie Lawler, and continues his momentum.
That's a good locked in.
Thank you, sir.
I wrote an article about this on fightbananas.com, the 165-pound weight division. We spoke to Pete. We spoke to Michael Davis. We think there should be 165-pound weight division, but that means you bump up each weight class. So it's a 10-pound difference, a 10-pound marker, 155, 165, 175, 185, etc. With Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley coming from the same camp, with a trade that revolutionized MMA, something we've never seen before, I think this could be the start of something where the 165-pound weight division gets created because of Ben Askren. Now, Dana White denies it at the moment. The UFC may not want it right away, but I think it will be something that does happen. I can't predict when. I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm not saying it's next month. It may be a year from now. Who knows? But I think this division will happen because we have so many super fights that can't happen unless there's a middle ground. The Khabib Ben Askren, the Tyron Woodley Khabib. And I'm just using that for argument's sake because of the two biggest names right now. But I think that 165-pound weight class gets created in a large part because of Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley.
Great point. You never know. Remember Dana White said females will never fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing negative at all against Dana. Things change.
Now
things
he loves
move around. Ronda Rousey game changed that. The UFC 200 main event was Amanda Nunes versus Miesha Tate.
Yeah.
Big UFC fights have been main event, have been females. So, yeah, you just never know. Right now, he might be against it. He really might. But then over time, it's like, wow, I can get a fight out of GSP.
Yeah.
I can get a Conor fight. I can get an Askren fight.
Yeah.
Move the 170 to 175 so RDA and the guys can get healthier there. Woodley can be healthy, maybe not drop the weight. You never know. I just see too many benefits not to have it. So I think they will.
In agreement with you, Dave. And like always, check us out. Any last words?
Support your local MMA.
And get out and vote. Get out and vote.
Not on the president. We won't go there. The best MMA podcast, FloridaMMAAwards.com. Check them out on Facebook or go to the Locked In on the Locked In page. We're going to be blasting it. You can vote once a day, so vote every day.
There you go. And like always, stay locked in.
Rock you. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street, gonna take